we waited a while, just a little while, for this thing to get in. The game didn't start until 8:15 because of storms in the area, but there was another game that didn't start until about 7:30, and I was keeping my eyes on that one as well. A big clash between AFC Ann Arbor and Kalamazoo FC. But meanwhile, here at Midwest United Soccer Complex, Detroit City FC face their what used to be their Achilles heel in Midwest United. The first half, it seemed like Detroit City was controlling most of the play. A lot of the play was down at basically this end of the pitch where I'm standing at right now. Detroit City held possession, I'd say about maybe 60% of the time in the first half of play. However, though, Midwest would get a couple chances in there. Allison Lapointe, Strawn in net once again, delivering here on this save. Like I said, another strong performance by her tonight. But it seemed like Midwest started to get their balance in a little bit into the second half of play. However, though, 59th minute of action. Captured this one right off my camera here as play develops into the box, comes back out, and one Sophia Romine in her favorite position outside the 18, puts it into the back of the net. Detroit City goes up by a score of 1-0, and that was the way it would stand. Final score, Detroit City 1, Midwest United 0. Couple of other chances in the match for Detroit City or for Midwest United 1. Little hair raising there. I'm down at the other end. Tailgating, if you saw that on Facebook. I'm down there tailgating, and there was one that sailed right over the bar. I thought it was for sure that was the equalizer right there for Midwest United, but nonetheless, that was not the case. Detroit City with the victory tonight, as I mentioned, by a score of 1-0. How important? Well, that was important. What was going on in Kalamazoo tonight? Ann Arbor, or AFC Ann Arbor, in the first half got things going and went up by a score of 1-0. They took that lead into halftime of that matchup at Mayor's Riverfront Park. In the second half, 59th minute of play, I wrote this on both Blue Sky and Twitter. Canada for Kalamazoo evens things up. They play to a 1-1 draw. What does that mean? Detroit City FC is now on top of the Great Lakes Division by 2 points over AFC Ann Arbor, going into a big match on Saturday night at Keyworth Stadium, 7 o'clock kickoff, part 2 of the doubleheader, as Detroit City FC takes on Miami FC. We'll look and see how they did tonight, coming up in a couple minutes around the sea. But that will be as I mentioned, it will be the second game of the doubleheader. If you've got tickets for the game against Miami, you got tickets to the game against AFC Ann Arbor. That's right. That ticket is good for both matches on Saturday night. If you haven't picked one up yet, make sure you go down to the Detroit City store over in Capitol Park or on SeatGeek.com for your tickets for that one. Like I said, one ticket gets you in for both games on Saturday. Like I said, it's going to be a huge afternoon of soccer. Detroit City's men got to get back on their winning ways, obviously, and what a better way to do it against probably one of the some more surprising teams in the USL Championship, and then of course the battle between AFC Ann Arbor and Detroit City FC. There's been many a battle between AFC Ann Arbor and Detroit City FC in the past, and this one coming up on Saturday is going to be, let's just say, it's going to go right there in the annals of that history. So, like I said, great night here in Grand Rapids. We'll talk to Coach Dave Dwahey once I take you around the sea.
A lot more activity in the box from their players. Get in the box, cause problems, get shots on target, etc.
Another turnover. Romero, right-hand side, gets it back. The chip, he scores! Matias Romero going top shelf early in the second half. Miami breaks it open 1-0.
Rico Lopez serves. Suarez heads it away. Gurr couldn't get much on the volley.
Opportunity to break here. Trey Garthen is wide open. Too many touches from Enzo Martinez there, but you get it to a guy like Tabor Ataka, who's got rapid pace.
Pasher out front of him. Pasher serves. Trey Garthen!
I tell you what, that is such a fantastic counterattack from Legion FC. I criticized Enzo Martinez early on in that. He ends up making the right pass, getting it out to Tabor Ataka.
With Sophia Romine's goal in the 59th minute, another $1,370.18 was added to the total, making a grand total of $8,221 going to the Ruth Ellis Center. You can scan the QR codes at the top of the screen to make your donation to this year's Pride Raiser. Here we are, first place in the Great Lakes Great Lakes Division. Big win tonight. We had to wait a little while for it, but hey, how's it feel to be first place now?
Feels good, and it was worth the wait. Obviously, we don't even view it as first place right now because the big game Saturday. We got work to do, and it can all change hands real quick. But we're very grateful that it's sort of in our hands now, and we control our destiny. And 3 games to play. Hopefully we can find some version of the character that we found tonight, because that really saw us through during a tricky game.
And it seemed like, throughout the first half of the match, you guys were just going out there and dominating play. I'd say you had the ball like 60% of the time in the first half of play. Second half of play, different story. Midwest seemed to come back a little bit, and it took Sophia Romine with that boot of hers outside the box, as per usual, to solidify things.
Yeah, she's so good at finding those moments of brilliance, and I thought the play that led up to it was just really well done. Drew Martin was so dynamic. I thought she had one of her best games in a city uniform tonight, and really stepped up big for us. And she was the sort of the genesis of that goal. Really crafty move from her, played it in, and Soph did the rest. But you hope that we kind of talked before the game. We've always hung our hats on our defensive strength and quality. And once again tonight, I thought we bent, but we didn't break. We were really, really consistent playing out of the back, and you kind of just figured maybe the offense will figure it out at least once. And sure enough, we got that one goal, and then I think we got a little bit defensive after that, but that makes sense. You're wanting to protect the lead, and I thought we just saw it through very well.
Yes, and there was a couple times there, late in the match where Midwest had a couple opportunities, one clear right over the crossbar, another couple opportunities, prior, in the first half or so, where Allison LaPointe came up big in that.
Yeah, Allison, I think this season she's every game had at least a couple of moments where she's had to really be switched on and come up big, whether it's an intervention, coming out for a ball, or making a save. And tonight tonight was a perfect example of that. first half, we made a little mistake that she had to cover for. Second half, she dealt with everything extremely well and very confidently. That one that went just over had everybody holding their breath. My stomach sank. My heart dropped.
I was convinced it went in.
I thought it went into. I thought it was in the back of the net. But I do think that, you know, when you're working hard and staying together and staying positive like we were tonight, you know, sometimes you generate a little bit of your own luck, and we needed a little bit of luck in those couple of moments in the game, and we got it. And then when you have a goalie like Allison in the back line, like the one in front of her, you hope that those moments are limited. And I think, you know, it's just a handful of moments tonight where we were a little anxious.
You said by all means, this is not over yet. You got a big game coming up Saturday at Keyworth against Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor just dropped points for the second straight time against Kalamazoo FC tonight. How do you think that team's going to feel after losing points in 2 consecutive games?
Well, I'm sure there'll be a little bit, there's that saying in sports, like the most dangerous opponent is a wounded animal, and I'm sure they're a little bit frustrated right now, and, you know, they really frustrated us in that first game. So I think for them, it's actually like a real natural follow-up game to come in with a point to prove and a chip on their shoulder, and, you know, they're going to try and make it tricky for us, and so we need to be prepared for that. And you know, now there's a little bit of pressure on the game, and, you know, I think we got to find a way to not let it feel that way, you know, or at least combat that feeling with freedom and, you know, like just a little bit of that smile on your face play that we've had throughout the season that's gotten us through some tricky games.
Ann Arbor has some historical significance with this club. I believe there was a term called Monty with the right foot that had to do with Ann Arbor at one time. How electric do you think that place is going to be on Saturday night? Mind you, the people staying for this one.
Yeah, well, I hope the men can get on track. I'm so excited for them. I thought they took a really big step forward against Loudon. Didn't go their way in the end, but you could just see like they got their swagger back a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So I'm hoping they can set the stage with a great performance against Miami, a good result, some three points for them that they really need, and then hopefully we can come on and just like pick up off that vibe. You know, it's always fun to play at home. I hope we'll have a great crowd. It's Pride Night. There's a lot coming together. You know, like the stars are aligning, and I hope that we can take advantage of that and have a good team available. It's going to be a quick turnaround, and Ann Arbor's obviously dealing with the same thing, but we're going to need to get ourselves as fresh as possible because it's going to be a battle. I'm sure of it.
A classic battle, like all the Ann Arbor games of the past. I wasn't privy to them back in the, you know, the days of the NPSL and all that stuff, but every time that there's a game against Ann Arbor, it seems like that pressure gets higher, or the level gets higher when it comes to those games. These local matchups is what Detroit City was built on.
Yeah.
And you look at it, you know, a game against, say, like Midwest, or a game against Ann Arbor, Lansing United back in the day. You know, there's something special about those.
Yeah, I think there's an intimacy and a familiarity in those games that makes them extra special, extra, you know, hard fought, because there's a little bit more pride and local bragging rights on the line. You know, when we're in the USL Championship on the men's side now, there aren't as many games where there's like that geographic proximity. And I think for us, teams that are familiar and that kind of take us back to those early NPSL days, those magical early days of the club's existence, that, you know, I think everybody gets a good feeling about it, and it's just really a special opportunity for the women because we have so many of those games over the course of our season.
Absolutely. Well, great win as always tonight.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Fourth, or was it the fifth clean sheet for Allison LaPointe?
Yeah.
Sophia Romine comes up big with a goal to put Detroit City up into the top spot of the Great Lakes Division tonight. And this guy, he did the job as usual, leading these girls to glory once again. Saturday night, Keyworth Stadium, 7 o'clock kickoff right after the men's game. They'll go right at it again, battling for the tops. Well, it's still a top spot battle because Ann Arbor right now is 2 points behind Kalamazoo in the race for or 2 points behind Detroit City, in the race for the top spot of the Great Lakes Division. Should be a good one Saturday night. For Dave DeWahey, I'm Mad Cat. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the galaxy.
Thanks, everyone.